Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Tuesday, August 15th, 2017 edition of VR News. Let's dive right into VR News. First story, dealing with a company called Insta360. These guys last year launched a camera called the Insta360 Nano. This was a camera that attached itself to iPhones, providing 360-degree capability, as well as Periscope and Facebook live streaming. They also released an Android version of the camera called the Insta360 Air, and more recently, the Insta360 Pro, which can shoot 8K 360-degree videos. Now, the problem was the huge price difference between the two products. The Nano in both Android and iPhone version coming in at $199 US. The Pro, a hefty $3,499 US with no real middle option until this camera. And if you take a look at it, the video's playing in the background. It seems to be mounted from a selfie stick, but has a cool proprietary method for erasing the telltale signs, the stitching seams, and the end result is what I would call just a moment in time captured. Not a 2D representation, but the way that you're able to pan around a scene, I just think it's going to be really a popular method. Whether their version of it takes off, I think ultimately these are the types of pictures people want to see in the future. Company has no word on the price, just that more news is forthcoming August 28th. Got a kick out of this next story. CloudGen today announcing a new video game title that is going to showcase the cloud-based physics technology that they've used in both Oculus Toy Box and Crackdown 3. The game's called They Came From Space, and it's pretty obvious it harnesses that 1950s, early 1960s B-movie sci-fi kind of feel. Also, really does borrow from games like Rampage and a game I was talking about just the other week, which was the Movie Monster style game. It's in development for both Rift and Vive, and like MMO games, it's online multiplayer. You're going to be able to play with up to 10 players, controlling either the alien ships directly, the ship type actual alien, the body looks like it's their ship with the tentacles, or controlling their drones. The purpose, and this is where the Rampage and Movie Monster style comes in, you are basically sacking human cities, and damn does it look like a lot of fun. Apparently the worse the carnage, the bigger the reward. You're going to be able to battle across Rift and Vive in, and you can see it on the screen, looks to be a very vibrant, rich gaming world. No release date or price given as of yet. Stephen King may not be quite as popular now as he was when I was a kid growing up in the late 70s and 80s, but few authors had the impact in terms of pop culture reach before J.K. Rowling than Stephen King did. Sure, you've got your examples, J.R. Tolkien, etc., but throughout the 80s, Stephen King, an unforgettable part of that. Plus, being a kid with an overactive imagination to begin with, I didn't help myself having a real pet cemetery just a few blocks from my house. Let's just say nightmares for multiple nights, pretty damn common after reading his books. Well, they've got a VR experience based on the upcoming Warner Brothers take on Stephen King's It. It's pretty damn cool in hyping up the movie. I think it really works well as a marketing tool. And even if we don't see movies, full big budget titles filmed in 360, VR, etc., I think it's a perfect tool as it is right now to assist with marketing, i.e. as a movie trailer. I think it's just a really cool and innovative way to sell the movie. I gave it a quick look. It's about 4 minutes, 33 seconds long. But looks to do a really good job of selling the movie. Of course, it's a very linear experience, but being 360, you can look around as you're guided along the rail. Next story. A lot of virtual reality first round fundings still happening. There's so many and they're so sporadic, most of them not really worth mentioning. It's just kind of par for the course. What does stand out, though, with this story is who is doing the funding. So there's a company in Edmonton, Canada. They're called Sirius Labs, and they are a virtual reality developer specializing in VR training. So programs for training in VR, stuff like what Walmart is using with their employees, UPS, and other companies. I wouldn't have blinked seeing the headline for this company securing $5 million in first round funding if it weren't for one of the companies doing the funding. So there's two that are listed in the article. One is Brick and Mortar Ventures, and as the name seems to imply, they're a venture investment company. But United Rentals, well, they are an industry stakeholder. They are directly in an industry that benefits from safety training, tutorials for heavy and light industrial equipment. They rent that stuff out. So really, really cool to see them backing a virtual reality project like this. I think it's one of the awesome ways that the momentum of VR can be sustained. It's when other industries benefiting from VR pitch in. Really cool. This next story, companies are starting to look for creative ways to ride out VR's phase that we're in, which is the old trough of disillusionment. Innovative methods like this one. So CCP, one of those companies looking for ways to support VR, but at the same time, keep a revenue stream going. So what they've just announced is that their latest free expansion pack called Warzone, it's going to open up gameplay to non-VR setups and allow those to play cross-platform. So Warzone itself is going to be available in September, but I think it's a smart idea to future-proof in a sense like this. I've got no problem with companies doing this. I think it's really smart. And it's kind of the reverse of what I see is going to happen moving forward. I've got a strong gut instinct this is going to be the case, in that the tools for compiling VR versions are almost going to be as seamless in terms of duplication as Unity is for compiling for multiple platforms. In other words, write it once and then have it work for both iPhone, iOS or Android. My hope, and I'm pretty confident this is going to happen, is we're going to see the same thing coding-wise for VR and non-VR. And that should open up AAA games to developers and publishers who may otherwise think VR is way too small with a very low attach rate at the moment. We might actually see more VR games benefiting just because the tool sets in creating them doesn't require a repeat in effort. In other words, starting from the ground up to create the game in virtual reality, or vice versa, like CCP is doing to keep the revenue going. Very cool. Love this. Well, guys, that's it for the news on this Tuesday. Picked up a game earlier today. I was a little worried that the Soul Keeper VR wasn't going to make its August 15th release date. Thankfully, they managed to release it. I picked it up, should have that up as a quick look, hopefully tonight or tomorrow. Guys, as always, cheers.